Hello, this is Yogeshwar 7000 again, and I'm back with another interesting topic in Vedic astrology today. And today we will be talking about a very, very important topic, okay? And that is about the last rites of parents. Now, as per the Hindu beliefs, if the last rites are not performed as per what has been prescribed in the ancient scriptures, then the soul gets stuck on the earth plane and does not get liberated, so as to say. So the belief is, and has been given by our forefathers as per the ancient scriptures, that when people die, their children, and especially in Hindu tradition and culture and the scriptures, it's mentioned that it's the son who has to perform the last rite of the parents. Not that women are not performing these days, and not that women should not performing last rites of parents these days, but I'm just telling you what has been mentioned in the ancient scriptures. And I'm not in favor of just the son performing the last rites, or the woman not performing the last rites, but I'm just telling you based on what is mentioned in the ancient scriptures. But regardless, performing the last rites is very important, because unless you do that, like I said, the soul may not get liberated. It may get stuck in the earth plane, and does not proceed to whichever plane it is supposed to go to. There are various planes, various levels where the soul reaches after death. But in situations, extreme situations, like when children are unable to perform the last rites, it gets stuck on the earth plane and stays there for you don't know how long. Or if there's a sudden death, like an accident, then also there's a possibility, or there's a fear of the soul not getting liberated, it getting stuck on the earth plane and just remaining here for we don't know how long. Or if a person dies with some kind of a major grief, or some kind of a major desire, then also the soul may get stuck on the earth plane and may not proceed to the other level where it's supposed to go. So as per the Hindu beliefs, when the person dies, the soul stays in the place of his death for at least 4 days, and then on the 4th day there's a ceremony which is called the 4th day ceremony, where various, after the cremation, of course, on the 4th day there's a ceremony where a lot of rituals are performed, and then after the 4th day there's another ceremony which is on the 13th day, where the rituals are performed again. And then after the 13th day, after proper rituals and ceremonies as per the ancient Vedic culture and tradition and what has been prescribed in the scriptures, the soul takes its journey towards its destination where it's supposed to go. And then it takes about 12 months to reach Yama Loka, or the Lord of Death, Yama, where he's subject to his analysis of his karma. But this is a very detailed discussion. I'm not going to get into that. But from a purely astrological point of view, a birth chart is able to tell whether a person will be able to perform the last rites of the parents or not. Okay, so there are situations these days where children are working overseas and there's a sudden death of one of the parents, and the son cannot return back to perform the last rites, and if he does not come back, somebody else has to do it. And of course, like I just discussed, it is not good for the soul, because the soul gets liberated based on his own karma, of course, of the soul's own karma, of course, of the person's own karma, of course. But at the same time, a lot of importance is given to whether the son has been able to perform the last rites or not. That is extremely important, what has been given in the ancient scriptures. Once again, this is not my belief, this is coming directly from the ancient scriptures. So and some people do not give a lot of importance to it, and they're overseas and they cannot come back, and they have all kinds of travel issues, visa issues, that they cannot reach back in time for their parents' last rites, especially if it's a son. And then it's not good for the soul of the parents who passed away, like I just mentioned. So the ancient sages and the ancient scriptures have very clearly mentioned certain combinations in the birth chart of a person. And by the way, if a person cannot perform the last rites of the parents, he indulges a lot of sin, or he incurs a lot of sin on himself, and he could get major doshas, major defects in his birth chart, in his following births. Like one of the defects could be a pitra dosha, or the curse of the ancestors. So it is very important that, you know, one should be able to perform the last rites. So there are certain combinations which can be seen, and like I said, you know, as per the ancient scriptures, it's the sun. So in the man's chart, there are certain combinations. You can see whether he will be able to perform the last rites of his parents or not. Okay, that is coming again once again from the ancient scriptures. So please have firm faith and belief in it, and this is not a figment of imagination of any modern day astrologer. So the ancient scriptures very clearly say that in case, starting from the first house to the 12th house, anywhere in the main Rashi chart, in the main Lagna chart, in case there is a conjunction of Saturn and Rahu, or if there is a conjunction of Saturn and Ketu, then a person is unable to perform the last rites of his parents. Okay, once again, in case in anybody's chart, or in a man's chart especially, if in any of the houses there's a conjunction of Saturn and Rahu or Saturn and Ketu, then that person, according to the scriptures, is not able to perform the last rites of his parents. And then what will happen? Of course, the soul will not be liberated once again. The soul may not get liberated, rather, or the son or any other child may incur a lot of sin on himself, and as a result of which in the following births he may have a very inauspicious combination. And one of the combinations, like I just mentioned, is the pitra dosha, or the curse of the ancestors. Okay, so you should watch out for that birth chart where you see a conjunction of either Rahu and Ketu, no, Rahu and Saturn, or Ketu and Saturn in anybody's birth chart. So that's a red flag right there. You know, it's a red flag because, you know, there's a possibility that the person may not be able to perform the last rites. And then what do? Well, as good astrologers, you prescribe remedies, okay, so that the effect of this conjunction of Rahu and Saturn, or Ketu and Saturn, gets reduced, and could lead to circumstances where he's able to perform the last rite of his parents, because it's good for both the parents and for the son especially. Okay, once again, I'm not saying that daughters should not do it, but that's what the ancient scriptures say. Now, they've further classified this condition into, in case starting from the Lagna, or the first house, through the 7th house, if there's this kind of a conjunction, and the conjunction, like I just mentioned, is Saturn Rahu conjunction or Saturn Ketu conjunction. In case the conjunction happens from the 1st to the 7th house, which is the first part of the birth chart, then a person is unable to do the last, or perform the last rites of his mother. Okay, and in case the conjunction of Rahu and Ketu is, actually it is it's been mentioned until the middle of the birth chart, so it's not the first house through 7th house, it is the first house through 6th house. So in case the conjunction happens between, or in the first house through the 6th house, any of these houses, so in case the conjunction of Rahu and Saturn or Ketu and Saturn happens until the middle of the birth chart, which is 1 to 6 or the first house through the sixth house, then he is unable to perform the last rites of his mother. Okay, and in case this conjunction of Rahu and Saturn or Ketu and Saturn happens between the 7th house through the 12th house, any of these houses, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, these 6 houses, if the conjunction happens in these 6 houses, which is the latter part of the birth chart, then he is unable to perform the last rites of his father. So the first half of the birth chart, if this conjunction happens, he is unable to perform the last rites of his mother. If this conjunction happens in the second part of the birth chart, then he is unable to perform the last rites of his father. Okay, it's been very, very clearly mentioned in the ancient scriptures. And the other thing is that in case, and it's very clearly mentioned that in case benefic planets aspects this kind of a inauspicious conjunction, then of course this inauspicious combination is nullified, meaning which that he will be able to perform the last rites of his parents. So if you see such kind of a conjunction without a benefic aspect of planets or the Rashis, which means that as per the Rashi Drishti or as per the aspect of the zodiac signs even has to be taken into consideration. So if the beneficial or benefic zodiac signs are aspecting or benefic planets are aspecting this kind of conjunction, then this negative combination is nullified, meaning which that he will be able to perform the last rites of his parents. So look at both the aspect of the planets and look at the aspects of the zodiac signs itself. If it's a benefic aspect, then this condition will not apply and he will be able to perform the last rites of his parents. And in case there are malefic aspects, meaning which if there are malefic rashis or zodiac signs aspecting these combinations, or if there are malefic planets which are aspecting this combination, then of course this combination gets even more inauspicious, and it's almost certain that this person will not be able to perform the last rites of his parents, thereby inviting all kinds of troubles for himself, for the departed soul, and for his future births as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this video on and it's a very, like I mentioned, that it's a very, very important topic because some people take it very lightly, but performing the last rites is extremely, extremely important for all children, and especially sons. And in case there's no son, then of course this day and age daughters are being encouraged to perform the last rites. It's extremely important, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. And in the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic in Vedic astrology in my next session very soon. Goodbye.